No, thank you for agreeing to be on. Now, David, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
Well, I can't really think of one right off the top of my head. For me, it's like whenever I go about my day, whatever is going through my mind at all times is that business is about helping people and creating win-win-win situations. That's what I aim for. Whatever I do, I just make sure that it's a win-win-win. So that's kind of my mantra, I would say.
Yes, love it. David, could you expand a bit on the win-win-win? I know a lot of people know what a win-win is. I feel you've thrown a third one in there, which I think is pretty cool. What's a
Yeah.
win-win-win?
Yeah. So basically, it's when we are aligned in what it is we want, the person we are working with, whether that's a partner or a student or whoever it might be. And then the third win is the world as a whole. So, for instance, if I'm working with a student and that student is messaging me privately, then that might be a win-win because they're getting help and maybe their students are getting help, but it's not helping me as much. But on the other hand, like if we had that conversation in a support group for all the students, then it would help my students, it would help their students, it would help them, and it would also help me because better results for my students. So it's actually a win-win-win-win. So, but it's basically the concept of leveraging everything and making things as expansive as possible.
Yes, love that. And that's why you run such an interactive Facebook group, because I'm guessing that's one of the keys there, right? People could DM you in the private, and that would be great. They will get some info. But if it's in that group, it gets everyone benefiting, which is the whole point of a group. So I love that there. David, what I'd like to talk about today is your story. Because to be honest, I don't even know it myself. So all I know is you're here and you're the man when it comes to online courses, and you've got this amazing group. What I'd love to hear, and I'm sure my listeners would love to hear, and also we're streaming this into your Facebook groups. There's probably a few people in that group that don't know your story as well. I would love for you to just share it. How did you get to this position here? Feel free to start wherever you want to start, when you were a baby, when it was 5 years ago, whatever it was, start where you want to start. I think we've got about half an hour. So yeah, I'm going to leave it over to you and share your story. And if you've got any tips along the way that you think people could benefit from in that online course space, feel free to highlight them. And I'm going to sit back and enjoy.
Sure. Wow. Yeah. So it's quite a long story, and I could start it, right from the beginning, and it would make sense, and I could start it later on. So let's go somewhere in the middle. I was about the age of 25, and I had basically accepted that my life was going to be more of a good enough life. So I was basically going to work. I was playing video games. I wasn't really pushing myself out of my comfort zone, anything like that. And it was good enough. It was good enough. And then something quite well. It was very it was a big thing that happened in our family. A close family member committed suicide, actually. And that was a very, very big eye opener for me. It really confronted me with what it means to live, to what it means to die. It really put into contrast, and I could see how many options I had that I was constantly saying no to. And it just didn't feel good enough anymore. I felt that if I could do something more, then I should go for it. So I wasn't quite sure exactly how to do that. All I wanted to know is what does it mean to truly live fully? So I pretty much packed my bags and moved to the other side of the world for 2 years. So I moved to South Korea, actually, and I just had the time of my life. It was the most fun thing I've ever done. I made so many friends. I started my own online community there. I was actually doing a purpose-driven community locally before that with this video game that I was playing. But now I moved to South Korea, and I kind of took it to the next level, started working as a community manager, started my own YouTube channel. It started growing a lot, worked as an English tutor. It was just amazing. And I just started traveling around the area. And during that time, I really got that experience of what it's like to really, really live, to really not, what happens when you don't stop yourself anymore, and you just do whatever you feel like and you make it work pretty much. So in the middle of all that, of serving my community online and thousands of people really, really grateful for what I did and everything, I pretty much found my answer. And I'm not saying it's the same for everyone, but for me, it was to thrive by helping others. That was my thing. So I really found kind of like my North Pole, my big why in life. And I knew that the rest of my life was going to be about thriving by helping others. I didn't know exactly how. So when I moved back home to kind of restart my whole life and to make this work somehow, right? I started from scratch. I didn't have anything. So I got really into personal development. I really started working on myself, my social skills, all sorts of stuff that had been suffering because of all the video game years, pretty much. And yeah, I published my first book. I got into personal development, started speaking on stage. So at that time, I was really focused on kind of like overcoming social anxiety. That was one of my big things. So just pushing myself, getting more and more out there, getting on stage, getting my message out there, and just going for it pretty much. And at a certain point, I realized that in order for me to take it to the next level, I needed to kind of break past certain limits. So I had the limits of reach. So I couldn't help people around the world. I was only working with people locally. I had to break through the limit of amount. So amount of time, amount of service. Whenever I was working with someone, it took all my time, and whatever I was selling, I couldn't sell as much of it as I wanted to. And the limit of income as well, right? So I couldn't charge as much because I wasn't leveraging my time. I didn't have any systems in place. And it was just a mess. And because of that, I had to still keep working. And that's just not how I wanted to live my life, pretty much. So I decided to solve it, to really make it happen. And the answer I found was that I needed to automate my value delivery somehow. And the best way I found was to create an online course or an online program, pretty much. So that's when I went down that whole route. And basically, at a certain point, I realized that one of the biggest issues with selling an online course is that you need to have an audience to sell it to, and they need to see you as someone that actually wants to help them and can help them. And you need to have pretty much all the systems in place, right? So, lucky for me, I had all this experience with how to build a purpose-driven community. So it kind of clicked for me, and I saw that I could use that to attract my ideal students to me rather than going out and chasing them. So that's when I created the Online Course Secrets group.
Awesome. Now, few questions with that. So a lot of listeners may be listening to this who are just starting a course, and their question may be like, all right, cool. So you were doing what, coaching before when you were doing the local sort of stuff? Was that more coaching?
Yeah, just personal development, just helping people with their limiting beliefs, with their social anxiety, with stepping out of their comfort zone, with, basically living their life pretty much.
Now, did you transition that to an online course as well?
Yeah, I did. So that's the first course I created, and it was a complete flop. So that's
share with us that, because there may be a lot of people listening that are like, oh, I tried once and it didn't work. So tell us about that.
So basically, I came at it as from like a consumer perspective. So when we live our lives as consumers, all we really see are end products. Like all around us, what we see are end products. So we can't really see all the work that has preceded like a Big Mac. Like we don't understand how many different variations and the whole work and the market research and all that stuff. All we see are the finished products, right? So I didn't have much marketing experience. So I went in with that mindset that to create and sell a course, then first you have to create it, and then you figure out how to sell it. And that's not the way at all to do it. You need to really refine the product and make sure that it actually answers your market's needs, rather than you doing any sort of guesswork. Like it shouldn't be up to you at all, pretty much. So that's the big lesson I learned there. A lot of lessons during that time. It took many, many months to get that out there. But basically the importance of having a smooth workflow, In that time, it took me months and months and months to create a course. And now I could create the same course in less than probably a day or two. Like that's how long it would take me. So, having that thing, how do you actually make sure that it answers your audience's real needs and desires? How do you make sure you can create it quickly? And how do you convey the value of your offer to your audience pretty much? And how do you have an audience to begin with? So there's a bunch of questions that needed to be answered after that big, first experience.
Yes. So then what happened from there, David? You launched that online course, the personal development one. Was a bit of a flop. What was the next step? Where did you go from there to get to the next level of success in your life?
Cool. So, I kind of understood right then and there that creating the course is the easy part. And, I realized that I didn't have any experience with marketing, and that marketing was going to have to be a big part of the picture. I also realized that I didn't have anyone to sell it to. And even if I did talk with someone, they didn't know who I was or why they should buy from me. So I realized that there was kind of like these three phases, like getting an audience, creating an offer for that audience, and then getting that offer in front of them. And I had focused entirely on the middle phase, but not the other two. So I realized then and there I could kind of see how much I didn't know. So I just went straight to an expert and invested in myself. I invested in that particular program, I invested $10,000, but I invested a lot in other programs, and there's been a lot of the money has been the least of it. Let's just put it like that. A lot of time, energy, and effort into learning all this stuff. So basically, that program, what it helped me was to understand all those years of playing that video game and building that community. I thought that had been like a waste of time, and I tried to just look away from that and kind of grow up. And then I realized that, everything I learned there, all those years of experience, would serve me so well as I went into this new phase of my life to actually be able to attract the right people for me instead of going out and chasing them. Yeah, so that's kind of how that progressed. I went into that program, and it taught me all about the first phase, which is how to build a purpose-driven community. So then I started my community and just started teaching people how to build a community. And then when I knew how to create and sell a course on that, then it just kind of evolved into a program on how to create and sell your online course.
Wow. So the Facebook group you've got at the moment, the Online Course Secrets, that was the first one that you built. That was the same one here. That was the purpose-driven group.
So I did create another group first, just to make sure that I had everything like an experiment group. So I went into a space where I had already a brand, already a name, which was the gaming community, which I had been in before. So I basically just came back to my old audience and said, hey, I'm going to start a Facebook group. Let's see where this leads. And that grew really, really fast in a couple of months to over 2,000 people. And that was my first experience of building specifically a Facebook group, right? But then I figured I have enough. Now I know how to take this to the next level and how to do it, even if I start with no name, no brand, no followers, nothing, just starting from scratch. And that's the group I have now with about 5,700 people.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So that brings up a next question, which is quite sexy, because I think a lot of people listening to this are going to be like, that's me. No brand, no audience, no name. This guy did it. How the hell can I do it? So we can phase this a few different ways. Now, one thing I would recommend is do David's course. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, how do I do it? Do David's course. Because, I mean, he's got another 15 minutes on this podcast. There's only so much he can cover in 15 minutes, right? Your best thing is probably to do a course. And I believe people can book a link with you, David, and they can have a chat and see if it's a fit. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So I like to talk with anyone before they join the program. So you can't actually join the program without talking to me. So it's a 45-minute strategy call where we just figure out if we are a good match, where you are, where you want to go, what you've tried to get there, what hasn't worked, and then we can see if I can offer something different, something that makes more sense for you.
Awesome. Cool. And I'll put that link in the show notes for the podcast and in the comment section here as well, if anyone wants to do it. But while we've got about another 10, 15 minutes here, David, what I think would be cool, if you want to share maybe a tip or two on how you did it and how other people can do it as well. So maybe if
Of
we
course,
started
yeah.
at maybe the audience. I know there were 3 distinct sections. Let's say audience. So and we can do it either way. You can just say, hey, this is what I did. Or you might say, hey, there's actually a better way now, and this is what I teach or I recommend. So how does someone build their audience? If they got no name, no brand, no
Yeah.
authority, how do they build an
Yeah.
audience?
Well, the first thing is to realize how important the position actually is. Like if Tony Robbins goes out and says something, then he's going to get 1 million likes. If you go out and say the same thing, no one's going to, like if you're just starting out, right? You're not going to get much. So it's not about the content. It's about your position, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the major thing people get wrong. They start working on content right away, too early. And they're trying to build a position through meaningful and great content, which you can do that, but it's going to take you years and years and years pretty much, and it might never actually turn into something. It works for some people, but for most people, I wouldn't recommend it. So the way I would do it, if I had to start over again, and what I teach my students is to take the focus away from you and just focus on, drop the whole idea that you have to create a course immediately and just focus on gathering an audience. So the way you do that, the way you can create value out of thin air is that you can take an expert within a field and someone that needs help within that field and connect them together. Or you can take someone that needs help with a specific problem and another person that needs help with a specific problem and connect them together. So this whole thing of connecting people, that's how you can create value without actually doing anything of your own, right? So let's say you know someone that needs help with something, and you know someone else that wants to help someone with that thing, then you can just create value by connecting the two, right? So when you are building an audience, what you can do is you can create a space for the exact people you help about the exact problem you're aiming to solve so that they can get the thing that they're looking for. So you're creating a purpose-driven community for people that are looking to solve a specific problem. So you're not tempting them into this space by saying, look at me, look at my content, look how awesome I am. Rather, you're saying, I have created a space for people that want to solve this problem. So if you come here, you can network and connect with others just like you and people that have come further than you. You can learn together with others how to solve this problem that you're struggling with, and you can get the support and inspiration you need to reach your goals. So all of these benefits are social in nature, and that's why they work so well when we are operating in a social space, like we are on social media. People are on Facebook to be social, not to learn things first and foremost, right? So when we create, like, yeah, you can go to all these other groups where you can learn from one single person, or you can come to our group. It's not my group, it's our group. And you can network and connect with all these other people. You like your experience, your expertise is so valued. Like, you're not stepping on my toes if you come here and you share your help. And here you can celebrate your wins without feeling that you're stepping on anyone's toes. You have an open culture that encourages people to engage. So just focus on that in the beginning. And then when people enter your group, you can actually ask them 3 questions. And this is kind of like your first market research. So you can just ask them, why did you join this group? Or why are you looking to get this? Or what's the major benefit here that you're looking for? So now you're getting the information of where your members want to go. And then you ask them, where are you stuck? What are you struggling with? What's your number 1 question? And they're giving you the point of where they are and where they want to go. So this is the value you can provide, right? And then the 3rd question, you just ask them, like, okay, can you share your email and I'll send you training based on your answers. So I'll help you with the things you just mentioned, right? So that way you're building your audience. You are understanding exactly what people want and need. And that way you can adjust your message. And now when you create your offers, etc., you can gradually ease into taking more of a front figure spot within your audience. So that's how you start creating value out of nothing, building an audience around you, building like it's like you're creating a really, really valuable aura around you that's just attracting and drawing in the exact people that need your help. And by understanding through helping people and listening to what they're saying and what they're asking for, you can adjust your offer to absolutely match exactly what your audience wants and needs.
Yes. Wow. Love that. Amazing. Let me make sure I got my head around that, because there's a few things going on. So you're saying, David, you create the community first before you've created the course. People join this community. There's 3 questions you can ask. One of the questions is essentially, what are you struggling with? One of the questions is essentially, where do you want to go? And then one of the questions is essentially an opt-in. And then you build content on those questions, which is how you build your course, essentially. And then
you just take all those questions and turn it into a course curriculum, pretty much.
And then it's not a guesswork like we were talking earlier. It's like, hey, I've got 100 people in this group, and 50 people filled out these questions, and 10 people said this, and 10 people said this, and 20 said this, and 5 said this. So, hey, there are my 5 modules. And then when I'm going to market it, I've even got the copy there. It's like, hey, is this you? Are you struggling with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Hey, do you want to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? And it's not a guesswork. It's a science. You've specifically asked those questions to match them. So
exactly.
Wow, I've never heard someone explain it like that. That's amazing. So you're listening to this, there you go. That's how you build your course. Take the guesswork out of it, do it like that. I've got one question though, David. How do you originally get these people in the group? If you're just starting this group, how do you find these people, or how do you get them into the group? Obviously, once you've got a bit of a group, you can get some steam rolling, but someone's watching this and they're like, yeah, well and good, David, but I don't have a group, and how do I find these people?
Yeah, great question. So there's a bunch of different things. So it's not just one thing. So first of all, clean up your Facebook profile. What I teach is how to do this organically. So I don't spend anything on ads at this point of my journey. But basically, if you are going to go down the organic route, then what it's going to be all about is connecting with people in similar Facebook groups as your own. And then you're going to have a profile. You're going to treat your Facebook profile as if it's a landing page, and there where you're posting content, you're basically telling people about the awesome things that are going on inside the group. You basically want to optimize it, and you can just go look at my profile if you want to. It's not the best one, but it does the job pretty much. You want the name of your group to be really, really, like when your customer avatar is searching for how to solve that problem, what are they typing? And you basically want the name of your group to match that. You also want the name of the group to hit the identity level. So if you have created a community for aspiring, cinematographers, well, then you definitely want to have that in your group name. So Photography Unleashed community for cinematographers, something like that. So it's kind of exciting. It's getting them some sort of emotional high. It's hitting the right keywords. It's clear, straight to the point. A good looking banner does not hurt, because that's how Facebook is advertising your group in other similar groups. And then focusing entirely on engagement and just adding a lot of friends. So it's there's a whole process behind it. And in either case, you are paying in one way or another. Either you're paying for ads or you're paying with your time. I recommend starting organically, because that way you can adjust your message before you throw all your money away into something that doesn't work. Yes,
love that and agree. And I've myself with my courses, I do a bit of both, a lot of paid stuff as well, but I only did the paid stuff once the organic was working. Once I was exactly. Like, okay, I've got this course that works. I know what people want. I know the pain points. Great. Now I can put an ad out there. Great. I get on the phone. I know what to say that people want. I know how to sell it. I know how to follow up. I know it's good, so I'm going to get reviews. So love the way you've done that. I'm just going to give a quick summary, because you're so good at this stuff. You can it comes off the top of your tongue, but there may be some people not quite at your level, So I'll drop it down a bit and explain my takeaway there. let's start with the group. I think that's an easier way to start. Just make sure the group name matches, because there's going to be people that simply, search that in on Facebook and, online course. Yeah, I want to get an online course. I'm going to join that group, or whatever it is, fitness, weight loss, mums, whatever. They'll type that in, it comes up. The banner I like as well, because it comes up on the sidebar all the time. Join this group, join this group. I hardly ever read the little text, but if it's a photo, oh, that looks interesting. What's that? Then I might go and join that group. So I like that. And I really like the personal profile side of things. So I'll just make sure I've got that under control. Essentially what we want to do, because a Facebook business page does nothing these days. Let's be honest. No. You post on there and nobody's going to see that, unless you pay to play. So your only chance is to use your personal one. So what I'm hearing, David, is you essentially set your personal one up almost to look like a business page. So someone went on there, they'd be like, okay, David Vidales. Oh, okay. He helps people with online courses. Oh, what's this? There's a link there to join this Facebook group. Okay, I'll click there. Oh, he's posting stuff on his Facebook group on his Facebook personal profile about this group. I might go and check out this group here. So that's set up. So if someone stumbles across you, maybe you've got a mutual friend, or they see you leave a comment, or you're in another Facebook group and you leave a comment there, and someone's like, this David guy knows what he's talking about. Let me click on his profile and see what this guy does. Oh, he's an expert in online courses. Oh, he's got a Facebook group. Cool. I might click there. That's the essence of that funnel there?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, because when you're adding friends on Facebook and you are writing something, that shows up for them, right? So you can just, even if you don't have your whole profile funnel set up, if you just add people as friends and that are relevant to what you do, and then you post something kind of like, make sure to like blah, 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 this problem, this solution, I just released this resource inside my group, you can join here. So you're kind of like leading people into the group. Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, love that. Okay. Now, I know we're running a bit short on time. I'll just touch on the expert or the positioning side of things. Is the group all you need for that? If you sort of build that group and you're the owner or the admin of that group, is that enough positioning there? Or is there any other little things we need to do to position ourselves as the expert?
It doesn't hurt to get on interviews. If someone well, no, actually there's a lot involved with positioning yourself as an expert. There's much more than that. You need to have like a signature method, but now we're going into like the second phase, like how do you actually convey that you know what you're talking about. So basically what it's all about is really making a clear transformation for your students, creating a roadmap for them where you're like, okay, I'm assuming that you are here and that you want to get over here, and these are the problems you have, right? So then if you have done your job correctly, you can kind of map out all their obstacles, and then you have your own signature method that explains how they go through the whole thing. Really to create a successful online course, you have to move away from the idea that you're selling information and go and really adopt the concept that you're selling a transformation. So that's such a big thing. That's really going to make such a big difference. If you sell a course on how to save your marriage, it's completely different than selling a course that saves your marriage. That's just two very different things. So that's how you want to angle things. Like, with this course, you're going to start here. At the end of the course, you're going to be here. And these are my results to back this up. And this is how it has worked for others. You're not going to learn how to do this. That's not the point here. The point here is to save your marriage, right? So it's not the information we're looking for. It's the results. And just speaking in those terms at all times and then backing it up, that's what positions you correctly.
Yes, love that. And that's something I can relate to. My background's in fitness. So my courses at the moment help fitness professionals, because I used to be a personal trainer myself. So we relate to that because that's such a fitness thing. If you sign up for a gym or hire a personal trainer, it's to get an end result. You don't sign up for a gym because you want
it's not
to
for
do
the fun of it.
Or you don't sign up for a gym because you enjoy doing chin-ups. Maybe you don't mind it, but You do it because whatever, you want to get stronger, you want to lose weight, you've got a competition you're training for, and you'll say to the trainer, hey, I want to win this competition, or I want to lose X amount of weight. Can you help me do it? The trainer's like, yep, I can. Leave the program to me. You know, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to, you know, I'm not going to sell you how to do a bicep curl and how to do a push-up. I'm going to sell you from here to here. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the way you broke it down as well, where you're like, hey, this is where you're at. This is where I'll get to go to. I've heard a good quote. I can't remember who said it, but it was something about, if you can describe your prospect's pain or their situation better than what they can, they automatically trust you and know that you know what you're talking about. So I think
exactly.
That's basically what you said, right? It's like, hey, here are the 3 common things that you've got. Have you come with those common things? Yeah, cool. All my students have those common things. Here's the 3 things we do to combat those things there, and you get from there to there. Does that work? So I
exactly.
And I love like the transformation, not information. Because when I speak to a lot of course creators, they'll be like, hey, how long should the course be? Or, you know, how much pages should it be? Or is it video, or is it text? Or, you know, is this enough? Should I put more? And I almost think, and this is a transformation I've had myself, actually. I used to just want to give as much as possible. How can I give as much information as possible? Because that'll make the course better, right? Not necessarily. Now, when I look at it, I'm like, how can you give me a result in as short of a time as possible? If your course is 4 weeks and someone else's is 12 weeks, but you can give me the same result, I'll take the 4 weeks. Even if it's the same amount of money, I'll take it because it's a shorter time. So
exactly. That's really what it's all about. At the end of the day, what we sell are shortcuts to desired results.
Yes, love that. Well, hey, David, that's pretty much all we've got time for today. There's just a few questions I like to finish off with. Now, we're obviously streaming this to your Facebook group, so they probably already follow you on social media. 20 of my listeners, where's the best, is your Facebook group the best place to connect on social media if someone hasn't heard of you before?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I spend my time. You know, my big free group, and then my support group for my students.
So that's Online Course Secrets. I'll put the link in the notes as well.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
Oh, good. I also like to ask all my guests if they could recommend one book to either any aspiring course creator or any course creator that's already got a course and wants to sell and market it more. What book would you recommend, or what book has changed your life the most? Or give us both of them.
So it's a really good question, and it's hard to say just one. I think everyone should read Russell Brunson's books, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets. I think they're amazing. I haven't read the last one. I really, really like Growth Mindset by Carol something. That's just a great book to read at first. There's an awesome book about personal development that I always kind of recommended for people getting into personal development, but it's actually for everyone. And I think it's called like Who Stole My Cheese? Okay. It's a really, really fun story. I don't know if you read that one.
I haven't actually. No.
It's really short, and it's so easy. You can read it like in an hour or two. And it's about these 2 mice learning how to cope with change and how to make the best out of the situation, which I think is it's just so important. Like, it's really, you know, running a business and living life is really survival of the fittest. So it's not survival of the strongest. So it's about the one that can adapt the fastest to how things are progressing. So I really like that book. The One Thing, amazing book. Yeah. It's gonna be the last book you read. in a sense, it's kind of like that, because it teaches you the importance of focus, and that more isn't always more, less is more. So it's really about focusing on the correct thing and removing everything else, and that's how you can focus your time, energy, and, you know, all your resources into the one thing you should be doing to get results. So yeah, that's more than one book, but I guess that's what I would recommend: the .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, Who Stole My Cheese, A Growth Mindset, and The One Thing.
Yes, so I'm a huge Russell Brunson fan myself. I bought his 3rd book, Traffic Secrets.
Yeah, I have it too. I just haven't had time to read it.
Well, the physical one was sold out. I'm a huge physical book guy. Physical one was sold out.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But I bought the ebook and really good as well. So
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
I'm
cool.
definitely going to read the Who Stole My Cheese. But hey, David, that's all we got time for today. Is there anything you wanted to finish up with, or was there anything I should have asked you that I forgot to ask?
No, it's like no. I mean, if you want to get started, if you feel like y- like you feel like you want to create and sell an online course, and you feel a bit lost, if you feel that you want to just get clear about what is it exactly that you need help with, and how do you take the next step, then yeah, I would love to get on the phone with you and check if we're a good match. So feel free to book that call. Just as a general advice for people beginning is to remember that you're answering market needs. You're here to serve. You're here to help people. It's not about you creating the course you want to create specifically. It's really about listening and developing your empathy. And just go for it, and learn how to have fun along the way. Because if you don't have fun while doing this, there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of moving components with creating and selling an online course. So just get help, especially if you're starting out. This is much bigger than you might think. It's not as easy as it might seem from the beginning. It's not just about creating a course and then figuring out how to sell it. So it doesn't have to be me, but just get someone that can help you out. Otherwise, you're going to spend years on this.
Yes, agree 100%. And whatever the small investment you make in investing on someone to help you with your course, it's going to be worth it. It's either spend whatever it is, $400, $500, maybe $1,000, or spend 2, 3, 4 years of your life. Like, to me, it's an easy option there. But hey, David, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.